Hey everyone. Okay, so with this vlog video, I've been trying to for the past couple of days, I've been trying to think of topics to discuss, and I have one, although it's probably going to be more on the philosophical side of anything else. Like, if those of you who have attended my live streams, we know, like, we get into philosophical discussions sometime about, like, sometimes we talk about religion or, like, afterlife and all that stuff. And I like it when we get into conversations like that because it's something more than just, like, who do you think would win, Natsu versus Goku or something like that. In which case Goku, but that's beside the point. So I'm going to get into a conversation like that. So just some background information before we get started. I am a Christian, so I believe in, well, technically I'm Orthodox, but it's part of Christianity. It's kind of like a branch off of Christianity. So I believe in, like one God, Jesus Christ, and then like heaven and hell. That's just my belief. So that's my default when I'm discussing what I'm about to discuss. I know anyone, my audience is spread out all over the world, so probably have your own religious beliefs, but this is just my own. Okay, so last night I had a very odd dream, and in this dream, I was very lucid in this dream. I was very aware. I wasn't aware I was in a dream, but I was very aware. Like, I could still remember it pretty well. Like, I was still aware of where I was. And where I was it was dark outside, and in front of me there was a curtain. And it was kind of like a crime scene curtain, like it's a curtain that's like put up around like a certain square, like they would like put a curtain up to hide a dead body or something. So it was like a four-sided curtain just set up in front of me, and I could tell, like, you couldn't look behind it, but I could tell that was behind it was something was on fire, because you could see like there was like the light of the fire like seeping out underneath the curtain, and there was like smoke and stuff coming out. So there was something on fire obviously behind it. And there was a crowd of people surrounding around this curtain, and I was just among the crowd. I didn't really stand out. I was just like amongst the crowd. And we weren't doing it. Nobody was doing anything. We were just sitting there and watching this curtain that's something where like this smoke was coming out from behind it. Like there was something burning inside of this curtain. It was kind of like a tent, except it didn't have a roof. Let's put it that way. And so nobody was doing anything, so I decided, like, okay, I kind of want to see, like, what's going on. So I step out from the crowd, and I go to walk up to the curtain, and I was going to go and, look behind it to see what was going on. Probably not a smart idea now that I actually think about it, but once again, I'm a dream, so whatever. So I'm getting close to the curtain, and this guy, he stops me halfway. I don't know where this guy came from. He just, like, kind of stopped me halfway, and he said, no, you can't look behind there. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because that's hell. I'm like, because that's hell. Like, yes, you can't look behind the curtain because that's hell. You'll see all these, you'll like, there's like all this like atrocities and terrible things and demons and shit. Like, he didn't actually say that, but he says, like, you can't look behind there because it'll be so like it'll like mess with your head. It'll like twist you like upside down if you look behind that. You can't actually look at hell. And I think that was based off of something I read at some point where just by seeing hell, you are like driven insane just by seeing what it could be. So this for some reason wanted me to see it more. I think mostly because, like, as human beings, whenever we're told not to do something, that pretty much like ever since childhood, that's like, yeah, I want to do that now. But if someone says to you, like, hey, you see that door? Yeah, you're not allowed behind that door. You're not allowed to see what's inside. Guarantee you, if you tell that to a child, I guarantee you they're going to find some way to look behind that door, okay? It's just how they are. So, I think that's part of the reason why I just walked up and wanted to see inside of it. But another reason, as a Christian, basically, well, actually any religion, really, not every religion, but for Christianity especially, we are, we're told, ever since childhood, we're conditioned, like this is, God, and there's the devil, and there's heaven, and there's hell, and we've never seen heaven or hell, we've never seen God, we can never see the devil, but we just have to, but they're there, they exist, and that's a primary focus of a lot of religions, is you just have to, you can't see something that's not in this physical plane, but you just believe in it, or you have faith in it that it exists. And that's all you really got, because no human on the face of the planet, no matter no matter who you are, you can't definitively prove that heaven or hell does not or does not exist, or does exist. You know, you can't. It's just impossible. And so we just have to go through belief. And I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to look behind it so much, because I was thinking, if I look behind that curtain and I see, like, hell, if I see, like, my personification of hell, you know, like, you open it and there's, like, you know, like, a bunch of, you know, like millions of people being burned alive, and there's, like, demons and shit running around, and, like, Satan's rolling over everything, and the skies are red, and there's, like, volcanoes and shit, then, yeah, if I see, like, I look behind the curtain and I see all that stuff going on, I'm like, oh, okay, so there is a hell. And if there is a hell, there has to be, like, logically speaking, there would have to be a heaven. I mean, I guess there could be a hell and not a heaven, but it wouldn't make much sense. So I think that's the main reason I wanted to look behind the curtain, was just to put an objective to, like, to have proof to myself. I mean, you could go up to the most devoted Christian and tell them, like, you know, do you believe in God? And they'll say yes. Do you believe in heaven? And they'll say yes, and, like, all that stuff. It's like, what if I could give you definitive proof? Like, what if I could literally take you to heaven just to look around and see, like, yeah, that's proof, you know? And if I was given the option, I'd be like, yeah, I want proof. I want physical proof. Now, you know, that might not be the dogmatic of what's going on, but that's just something I thought of. Like, that's what I was thinking of all day, was just, like, you know, like, having to believe in something that's not physical and not tangible. Like, how, you know, like, how does that work exactly? Like, that's the founding for the whole religion. We're believing in stuff that is not tangible, not physical. We just have to believe in it and just hope it exists. So, sorry if I got a little bit too philosophical on you there, but that's just how that was just my mindset all day, and that was my thought process today. So, there, join that. Yeah. You know, I'll tell you one thing though. Dante, if you've ever read the Divine Comedy, and if you didn't, I'll get to that in a little bit, but Dante from the Divine Comedy, he was a lucky son of a bitch, let me tell you, because he actually got to see everything. He got to see, you know, heaven, hell, and purgatory. He got physical proof for all this crap. Then again, that was written back in a time when religion was much more predominant than science was, and science was still, you know, in its infancy. If you're really interested in any kind of, you know, mythos and mythology, like I was always a fan of Greek mythology, and then I read the Divine Comedy, and I ended up liking it very much. Basically, just to give you a quick summary of the Divine Comedy, in case you haven't read it, the Divine Comedy is it was written in, I think, in the 1300s by a guy named Dante Alighieri. I believe he was. I think it was Italian, but if anyone's actually read it, and you probably know more than me, but basically it's written into, it's an epic poem essentially, and it was originally written in Latin. So basically, if any kind of copy you can pick up today, this is actually the third book in the series, but any copy you pick up today, it's going to be translated from Latin to English, and it's still an epic poem. So I mean, some might make it kind of difficult to read it because of that, but a lot of copies, like the one I have right here, they'll actually include translator notes, and the translator notes are really interesting, and they'll include, like, summaries before each passage or canto. Like, before we get to, like, one canto, there'll be, like, a summary of what happens, and then there'll be the actual poem, and then at the very end there'll be like translator notes and stuff, like the notes on what happened, because, you know, the things that are mentioned in here are very archaic. Like, they'll mention, like, names and stuff, so they'll be like, oh, this pope was mentioned on page 4, and this is his backstory, and oh, this you know, this twig is symbolic of this, and, you know, it's actually a really good read for me. I just like stuff like this. But anyway, yeah, Divine Comedy. It's written in three books. The Inferno, the Purgatorio, and the Paradiso, and it's basically the story about a wanderer, kind of like a pilgrim. His name is Dante, and it starts off with him. He's walking through he's, like, lost along this path in this this dark wood, this dark forest, and the forest itself is symbolic of something, but I can't remember what. A lot of symbolism in this. So yeah, he's walking through this forest, and he's confronted by these three animals: a lion, a leopard, and a she-wolf, I think. And they are also, each one of them is symbolic of something else, but, you know. So basically, he cannot pass over this until he confronts something inside of himself. It's kind of like a journey of discovery from, like, enlightenment or something. So he's not an angel, he's like a guide. He comes down, his name's Virgil, and he's like a guide, and he takes him on a pilgrimage through hell, purgatory, and heaven to achieve enlightenment. He's not an angel, because angels are something altogether, but something else altogether. But he does meet him, and he goes down, and they journey. They like hell's like a physical plane. Like they go to the gates of hell, and they just go into the gates of hell, and then just go journey through that. And it's really interesting because they lay out like, whereas like we think of heaven and hell as just like these vague areas, like heaven is just, you know, it's you would probably imagine it's very bright there, and it's like it's on a cloud or something. When you think of hell, you just think it's like, you know, like a pool of lava or something very fiery, you know. The Divine Comedy actually lays out like maps for this stuff, like a very intricate design of how hell works. Like hell is basically like, in the context of the Divine Comedy, the hell is basically like a giant cone embedded in the ground, like a giant cone shape, and you know, like each level gets, you know, like more narrow as you go down. There's 9 levels, and there's basically like a spiral pattern, like so you have to keep walking down in this massive spiral the lower you get. Purgatory is like a mountain, and honestly I haven't read that much into Paradiso yet, but I think heaven is like in circles or something, like in moons. I haven't read that far into it yet, but so yeah, I mean, I just love it just for the idea, like it makes hell very very intricate, and like the punishments for people, because basically he has to journey through each level of hell to get to, you know, purgatory, journey up the mountain to purgatory, get to heaven, while Virgil's guiding him, and he's witnessing all this, like all the sins of all the sinners getting punished down there, and it's really interesting because it's very ironic, like how they're getting punished. Like I remember the people that lived like neutrality in life, like they didn't have. They didn't care toward the good or the bad, they just lived a neutral life. Yeah, apparently you get sent to hell for that. Not technically hell, it's like on the outskirts of hell, but if you live a life of neutrality, you get sent to hell nonetheless. And basically, because you lived a life of neutrality, where you were not moving on one side or the other, in hell you are constantly, for eternity, spent in motion. So basically you have a massive crowd of people that are being chased by like locusts and bees and wasps, all around in a circle for all eternity. That is your existence if you lived a neutral life. I remember there was one that was like heretics are really bad. If you were a heretic, you basically spend the rest of eternity in a... You get buried alive, and your like grave gets set on fire or something, so you spend the rest of your life, like, you know, pounding in your coffin underground for the rest of your life. There was one where you get... I remember Ring 5 was like a giant lake full of nothing but like sludge and vile and filth, and you spend the rest of eternity like bathing in that, like you're stuck in this slime for all eternity. It's actually pretty bad. So yeah, there's 9 circles, but some have sub-levels, like I remember the 8th level in particular had like 7 sub-levels, so there's probably more close to 20. But at the very bottom of the of hell, you meet Satan, and when I think of like Satan before I read the book, was like Satan, you imagine like he's like this massive demon on this, like the guy from Legend, like that bighorn guy from Legend. He's sitting on his like massive throne ruling over all of hell. He's like, this is all my kingdom of the damned, or something like that. No, in the Divine Comedy, he is actually a he is actually massive, like a massive statue. He doesn't really move much, and he's actually frozen in this lake. There's the 9th circle of hell has actually foregone all the heat and the hot. It's actually freezing cold down there, probably colder than a level we can fathom, but there's like this massive frozen lake, and I think there are people actually frozen in the lake itself, but basically Satan's feet are frozen in the lake, and he's basically just stuck there as like a massive statue, and he has 3 mouths, and in each one of his mouths there is a different sinner. They're like the worst sinners of all mankind. I mean, you think like, you know, getting chased by bugs, you know, bathing in shit, you know, forever chewed on by the devil. You must have did some really effed up stuff. That's your eternity. Forever getting chewed on by the devil. And there's actually only 3 sinners that got that far. I think it was Judas for, you know, betraying Jesus Christ, Brutus for betraying Caesar, and there was one more, but I forget. If you read the Divine Comedy and you're still watching this video, you probably know. But, so yeah, and it's actually very laid out, like, who gets punished for what, like, you know, this sin will get you on this level because, but I haven't read it in a couple years. And Purgatory is more simple. Purgatory is just a mountain, and each level of the mountain is called a terrace, and it's just set after the 7 deadly sins. So, you know, it goes from, like, I think I think like the easiest one is like it goes like pride, greed, and then like lust is at the very top. Like because obviously the higher up you go, the less walking you have to do. So you know if you lived a life of lust, you go to the top and you don't have to walk up that far to get to heaven. I think pride's at the very bottom, and you have to walk like the whole freaking length of the mountain to get up to heaven. But, and Heaven I'm reading right now, so I don't know much about it. So, well, I spent a lot of time talking about the Divine Comedy. It's a good poem. If you're into stuff like that, you know, pick it up. It's really good. It's pretty cheap, too. This was, I mean, it's broken into 3 books, but this is only, it's only $8 for that's the 3rd book. I only own the 2nd and the 3rd. How long has this been going? Holy crap, I must have been talking forever. 18 minutes. Wow, that's not as long as I thought it was. Alright, well, that's my vlog video. In case, I mean, because, you know, people have been wanting me to do these, and I actually wanted to do one the past couple of days, but I couldn't think of a topic that was really good enough, and then that happened, and I went on an 18-minute rant about that. So, not really a rant, just a discussion. So I'm sorry if I bored you all with that, I really am, but that's just what I was thinking about today, so basically whatever I'm thinking about, I put up on the internet for all of you to contemplate. Alright, so that's it, and I will sign off with a Doctor Who quote that I now have in front of me, so I can't, because last time I tried this I forgot. But, you know, let's try this again, shall we? One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs, and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. See you, everybody.